Hello everyone, I am back again. Let me show you what I've done today. Alright, so on the C8 conversion, I've got everything lined up for a cold blow my body guy, so I didn't touch it today. I talked to him and said, here's what I need you to do next week. I'm going to be out of town. He's going to be working on this while I'm out of town. So I didn't want to mess up what I have him doing. So I worked on the C6 conversion today. So what I did was I took the back end off of the C6. If you watched the last video, yesterday I took the front end off of the C6 and test fitted the front end. I trimmed everything and got it to fit, and it's looking pretty good. The hood, just so you know, that hood gets trimmed and cut and gets replaced by a different hood. So the skin gets cut off of that framework and then a new skin put on top of it. So that's why it doesn't even come close to fitting. The back end, I removed the factory back end and then put on the fiberglass that I made. It's real thin and real flexible. It needs another layer of fiberglass, but it was enough to put it on there and see what will and won't work. I trimmed all the edges, but you can see that I cracked it here, I cracked it here. I was carrying around by myself. I shouldn't have been doing that. I should have asked for help, but I'm bad about not asking for help. I'm used to doing everything by myself, so I try to do it by myself. With a thin layer like it has, it's light enough that I can carry it by myself, but it's also a little bit too flexible. So I had a choice. I could have gone in and reinforced it, but I'm impatient on things like that, so I just want to see what it's going to look like. The top I made quite a while back. I was trying to put it on the C8, and there was just no way it would work on the hardtop convertible. What I was worried about, I could make it work on the hardtop convertible, but it would catch air when the top's down. This part, when it closes, this part would still be here. These windows would be covered, and you would have I was afraid I'd have a buffeting problem of, let's see, I had a Suburban, and at a certain speed with the windows down, the buffeting in there was just absolutely horrible. It was intolerable. I've also been in other cars that's an issue, not as bad as that one, but it's been an issue. So I was afraid that if I put this on the C8 hardtop convertible with the top down and all the air being trapped in this contained area, that it would cause an issue. The other problem is the engine breathes out of the vents that are under here. I'd have to show you. I'll show you that in a second. So my question was, well, is this trapped air coming in here going to interfere with the air trying to escape? I assume it comes in the side vents and then comes out there. Would that interfere with it? And I was afraid it would cause issues. Come to find out, there was a guy that did a YouTube video about the things I hate about my C8. He has a C8 coupe. Things I hate about my C8 coupe. And one of the things is between 65 and 75 miles an hour, he said the wind buffeting and the wind is just absolutely intolerable in his C8. So the thing I was worried about, even GM didn't get right. So I'm kind of glad I avoided that. Anyway, this is what the top is going to look like. Again, it's not trimmed quite. This corner right here is rounded. It's squared there. There we go. Rounded and squared, so got to figure out what to do there. Minor issues. Again, obviously a grinder would fix this, make it work. And then because it's hitting the factory glass right here, it's raised up more than it would be. This would actually go down. There we go. See, it would go down in here like this, so it would actually fit. Obviously, it wouldn't have this extra piece here. It would fit down. So what I do, I'm assuming, is replace this factory glass with this fiberglass piece with some either glass. I don't know if the 63 Corvette glass fits there, or if I would have to do Lexan or something like that. If anyone knows how I can figure this out without going out and spending $600 on some 63 Corvette glass that may or may not work, I'd appreciate some insight there. Honestly, I have no earthly idea other than doing that, and I really hate to spend $600 and then find out that it's not going to work. All right, so this is done. So the intent of this was to see how close this mold was going to work, because it's designed to fit on a C6 Corvette. How close would the parts work straight out of the mold, because with carbon fiber, I don't want to have to do any modifications to it after the fact. And from this quick test, I can see that it looks like it's going to work straight out of the mold. So that means in a couple of weeks, I will send the molds off to the carbon fiber guy. He'll make me, he said it'd take a couple of weeks to make the carbon fiber body. I'll get the carbon fiber body back. And what I'll do is I will modify the C6 as required to make all of this work. I don't think it's going to take a lot of modifications based on this, because everything just kind of seemed to fall in place. If you look, the front end here looks pretty good. The door matches up well. There is a door skin that's going to go on here. I haven't made that yet. It needs to be made. Same way with the hood. I still have to figure out, again, same thing, what to do about whether to leave that tire exposed or to make the transition piece like I did here. So give me your input. This is exactly the same thing that I found out when I was doing the C5. Same thing, the tire's wide and it ends up getting exposed. If you look at the old Corvettes, that's the way they were. The front of the tire was exposed. But then again, these cars were known to have lift issues. So part of me wonders, maybe the air getting caught from those spinning tires was actually contributing to those lift issues. I don't know. And let's see. All right. Anyway, that's where I'm at now. Nothing else I can do on this. Again, this was my intent, was to figure out what to do. I will have a question on the front end. You can see that this has a front structure just like on the C5, but it doesn't stick out quite as much. I'm not quite sure what the guy that made this mold was thinking, because personally I would have extended the front end an inch or so and made it to where I didn't have to notch that piece to make it work. But some people are just so set on making it look exactly or as close to exactly like the car they're trying to retro that they'll do stuff like that. Me, I don't care. It doesn't have to look exactly like it. The idea is to make it look, generally like it. So, if extending something in an inch here or there would make it fit better, I would have chosen that. It looks like he chose the other option to, oh, well, let's go ahead and cut off this piece of metal because that 1 inch is going to make all the difference in the world. Like I said, I wouldn't have done that. I'm not sure how the hinges are going to work. There's the hinge, the front of the hinge, and this does use the factory C6 hinge. He told me it uses the hood and hinge. You just rip off the skin of this hood and replace it with the skin of the C2 retro hood. The headlights go up here. My headlights that I bought are the plexiglass or Lexan, I don't know what it is, covered ones that have an aluminum box. I'm afraid that aluminum box is going to require me to cut off literally, what is that, a half an inch? That's a lot. And that blue too. That's a lot of work, when if this front end had been extended a half an inch further, it would have eliminated that completely. The strange thing is, I guess this side looks the same. So it's more than a half an inch by the time you look at this. I mean, if that box for my lights comes straight down there, we're talking about cutting off an inch here. Anyway, I will know that when I get the lights out. I just haven't done that yet. Again, my goal is to just have the carbon fiber front end made and then make everything else work. The other question I have is the actual original C2 headlights on these Corvettes. They flipped 180 degrees. So I don't know how much clearance is needed here to allow it to flip 180 degrees. Maybe it doesn't need much. Maybe it needs even more than that. The guy I bought the molds from, he made it to where he used C5 mechanisms, and it actually just raises up a couple of inches, and then it has those, they're called sleepy eyes, front headlights. I could do that. Obviously, then all of this stuff wouldn't matter because I could just make sure that that mechanism doesn't interfere with that. So that's still an option. He didn't give me any headlight covers, molds for headlight covers, so I'm going to have to figure out what to do from that. What I might do is just go ahead and make molds from the plexiglass headlight covers and then make those out of carbon fiber, and again do the sleepy eye thing. That's probably going to be the quickest and the easiest thing to do. And then if somebody wants the other ones, I'll figure out how to do that when and if that comes around. So let me go ahead and show you. This is how well the body fits. I already showed you that other side. If you look, this rear edge matches the door really closely. And again, a door skin goes on here, so hopefully it's oversized a little bit and we can trim the edges to make up for some slight variations there. It follows this edge. I looked and it bolts down to the hardware locations. This back edge is the area I was talking about. I'd have to open the hatch to show you, but I just assumed anything that had a flange looking piece was just a flange for bolting the multi-piece mold together. Come to find out, that was not the case here, that actually needed this flange because this is where the body section bolts down across here. And so we just had real light fiberglass with no, real light resin with no real fiberglass in it. And so this area, I need to make sure that when I have the carbon fiber body made, that there's a wide enough flange here so that it can bolt all the way across here, because that's where it gets the support. There's where the exhaust is. I think I can just make kind of a U shape cut out there to give room for the exhaust. I don't know about the lower diffuser. I'll have to get it and put it back on. A couple of my body guy convinced me, take everything off of this car, put this on, make sure it fits with everything off, then go back and say, okay, if I add the rear diffuser, what's that going to do? So that's where I'm at now. This is what it's going to be like if I don't use the factory rear diffuser. So all I need to do is add that diffuser back in and then see what I'll end up doing. Here's what it looks like from this angle. I'm kind of space constrained because I've got my truck here to block the view from the neighbors, and some of them aren't happy about what I'm doing here. And then I had this fence put up to block the view, but it also makes it difficult to move around. I already had the C8 sitting there and I didn't want to mess with moving it because at the time I was doing this, a couple was working on that one. So rather than disturb him just to move that car a couple feet, I decided not to. And I just put this wherever it will fit, and it fit right there. Let's see. Oh, that top edge. I was going to look at this. Okay. So see, this is what I was talking about. If I look at this, it's hard to get oriented on this thing. What's what? There's the tail headlights. That's okay. There's the lights. Then it comes up to here. Oh, there it is. Okay. So this is the edge, and I just assumed this was not a critical edge. Again, part of it was because that was messed up. If you look over here, any place that you see a obvious seam, it wasn't critical piece because he wouldn't have made that. You can see it was critical up to here, up to this edge. It's all nice and smooth, and then as soon as it gets over here, it has these seams. Well, I just assumed that this edge right here was a non-critical edge. Come to find out, it's not. It is a critical edge. This is where it bolts down. Part of it was because it's so wide. I just didn't think that that was the case. I don't think it needs to be this wide, but it does need to exist and be heavier than what we did. Again, it's one of those things that you live and learn. The first time you build something, you find out how everything works and doesn't work. This is a multi-piece mold. This is the bottom piece. That's the back piece right there with the taillights. And then there's the two side pieces. And the reason why is because if you put this all together, you would never get the body out of the mold because of all of the interference of the angles. And in fact, I thought I could take off the one side and the back and get that body out of the mold. It wouldn't. There was still enough interference that I had to take off this other side. Okay, I think that's got everybody caught up. Again, like I said before, I thought I was going to go to Fort Worth and work on the Cobras today, but that got delayed by a day because this was so close to ready, and I wanted to make this get this done and see how it's going to work, so that I knew if a lot of work needed to be done before I sent these molds off, or if they could be sent off as is. What I've determined is they can be sent off as is. I'll make whatever modifications I need to make. I don't think I'll need to make any to the body that comes from the molds. I will make all the modifications to the car itself. And again, please give me your input on what I should do about that tire sticking out. Should I just leave it like it is? That's a lot of tire to stick out. Or should I come up with my own piece right there to fill in that gap? 6 of one, half a dozen other. The issue is that with a carbon fiber body, obviously I'd love to have the carbon fiber with the crosshatch pattern and have it all match. If I do that as a separate piece, there's no way I can change the mold at this point, or I'm not going to. So it wouldn't really match. Maybe if it was black, flat black, or I don't know. Anyway, I'm looking for suggestions. All right, so like, subscribe, hit that alert if you want to get an update when I do it. And always keep in mind that this isn't critical. After all, it's only fiberglass. See you later. Bye.